Tonight on Chat News at 5, lockdown continuing. Premier Jason Kenney has revealed what the province's next steps are regarding COVID-19 restrictions. And the day after DC, many are wondering how rioters were able to get so deep into the Capitol buildings in Washington.
Plus in sports, Drew Krebs will be pushing for a top 4 spot when the Tigers return to the ice.
From Medicine Hat, this is the Chat Evening News with Dan Reynish.
Good evening. Thank you for watching. Premier Jason Kenney announced just a few minutes ago Alberta's current health measures will remain in place until at least January 21st. This does not include schools. In-class learning will resume as planned on Monday. But Kenney says the other public health restrictions need to remain in place as the province must consider the very real possibility of an increase in COVID-19 cases due to the holiday season.
In order to ensure that we take into account the very real possibility of an increase in cases as a result of the holidays, and given the fact that our case numbers, hospitalizations, and positivity rate for testing remains high, Alberta's current health measures will remain in effect for at least 2 more weeks.
Mr. Kenney said he knows the decision to keep the restrictions in place are going to be met with frustration given that MLAs and government staffers traveled out of the country over the holidays.
Let me address that. I know that Albertans are angry because of the terrible judgment that many in government have shown, and they are right to be angry. I had heard Albertans loud and clear. After all of the terrible sacrifices that people have made for 10 months, it was insulting for government leaders to holiday outside of the country. Albertans said they wanted there to be consequences. I heard them, and there have been serious consequences.
When Mr. Kenney was asked why he didn't speak about politicians being out of the province while talking on New Year's Day, he claims he didn't know on New Year's Day how many MLAs and staffers had traveled outside the country. When asked about the hashtag #ResignKenney trending on Twitter, Mr. Kenney responded, he doesn't govern by hashtags. The province's chief medical officer of health announced 968 new cases of COVID-19 were identified in Alberta over the last 24 hours. 24 Albertans have died, bringing the total number of deaths to 1,217. The number of people in hospital dropped below 900, but remains high.
Our peak hospitalization in late July was at 94 cases. Today, our numbers are almost 10 times that. We still have not seen the impact of the recent holidays, and we will be closely monitoring the spread over the coming weeks to determine whether it is safe to recommend beginning to relax our current approach.
Dr. Hinshaw back to the Premier this afternoon, saying it is essential to keep the current measures in place. When the provincial government announced last month that COVID vaccines were heading to southeastern Alberta, it was met with great praise. But details of the local vaccine rollout have become scarce since then. Just before Christmas, Premier Jason Kenney announced Brooks and Medicine Hat would each receive 975 doses of the Pfizer vaccine. A week later, he said Medicine Hat would receive an undisclosed amount of the Moderna vaccine. And today, no information is being provided about how many doses of either vaccine have been administered. A spokesperson for Alberta Health wasn't available for an interview today. In a statement, Alberta Health says priority workers are being vaccinated province-wide. An Alberta doctor has died from COVID-19. The physician was among the 25 deaths reported in the province on Wednesday. No details about the physician or where he worked have been released. In a statement, Health Minister Tyler Shandro confirmed the doctor did not contract the virus at work. The doctor is the 3rd healthcare worker in our province to die from the virus. A 61-year-old long-term care worker in Calgary and a woman in her 50s in the Edmonton zone also died due to COVID-19. Officials are criticizing the law enforcement response to the angry mob that stormed the U.S. Capitol building yesterday, leaving 4 people dead and injuring several others. While the D.C. National Guard was eventually called in, many are wondering how these rioters were able to get so deep inside the buildings. Whitney Wild has more.
In the aftermath of the chaos on Capitol Hill, Democratic leaders are calling to hold accountable the heads of security on Capitol Hill. The sergeant of arms on the House side has already resigned. Meanwhile, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is pushing for the resignation of the U.S. Capitol Police Chief. Meanwhile, 50 officers from the Capitol Police and from the Metropolitan Police Department are recovering from injuries sustained during the riot.
Why were they overwhelmed? Everyone knew this was going to happen.
Scenes from Washington shocking the world Wednesday. Extremists trashing the offices of elected officials, storming the House floor and breaking windows, blatantly walking past Capitol Police while carrying state property. It was the first time in more than 200 years that the U.S. legislature has come under attack. Americans wondering today how it could happen. Dozens have been arrested so far.
We still have a significant amount of work ahead of us to identify and hold each and every one of the violent mob accountable.
The entire D.C. National Guard was eventually mobilized to help. But according to a source familiar with the situation, it was Vice President Mike Pence, not President Trump, who helped make it happen. The lingering question, when officials knew thousands of protesters planned to march in Washington, why weren't more security measures put in place ahead of time?
It's clear to me that the police were outnumbered, and they apparently underestimated the strength and level of violence in that crowd and overestimated their ability to control the crowd.
Today, there are growing calls for Trump to be removed either via impeachment or by the 25th Amendment. Already, one of his cabinet secretaries, Elaine Chao, has resigned. In Washington, I'm Whitney Wild reporting.
The storming of the U.S. Capitol building stunned many Americans living around the world, including a woman from Denver who now lives in 40 Mile County. She was shocked and appalled by the actions of those taking part. Liz Calange says she supports U.S. President Donald Trump and believes he won the election. But despite being no fan of President-elect Joe Biden, she says Americans need to support the ongoing transition.
I think we have to deal with what we've got now, the Americans do. And I think they've got to get behind Biden if they can. They may not agree. The Democrats haven't agreed with Trump and tried to do everything they could to impede his presidential job. So I think that we've got to get behind Biden.
Calange added that she wishes Americans could just start working together to make the country better, regardless of party. What a day, what a day. It's January 7th and it was a fantastic day. I spent a couple hours outside this afternoon and enjoyed every second. This view of Veterans Memorial Park sums up the day, and I felt I was going up higher and higher the longer I was outside. 4 degrees right now with a southwesterly wind of 11 kilometers an hour. We have many nice days just like this coming up, and I'll give you the entire AccuWeather forecast in just a few minutes here on Chat News at 5. Coming up, the Medicine Hat Firefighters Association is looking to shine the spotlight on some of its members. The hotel industry has been devastated by the pandemic, with fewer people able to travel, but many local hotels are pivoting, hoping to attract those who are getting tired of working from home. Town Place Suites, Days Inn, Comfort Inn and Suites, and Holiday Inn Express are all offering day rates for their rooms in business centers. Holiday Inn General Manager Kel Sloan says the day rates were usually just for people passing through, and now he's seeing more locals booking a room for a few hours during the day.
Now it's a bit more corporate, where we're starting to see more and more people, whether from accountants or lawyers or traveling judges or doctors or anybody that's doing an administrative style job, just looking for something a bit different, a getaway.
Sloan adds many of the guests who have taken advantage of the program usually begin with just one day and add more days as needed. Our city's popular Hat Smart program is once again taking applications for cash incentives for home energy efficiency upgrades. The annual program has been running for a dozen years, offering rebates on everything from solar panels to appliances. City Manager Jared Dickey says the place to start might be the $400 rebate on home evaluations to find out where to save energy costs, especially with the increase in home renovation prices these days.
Evaluation that will be done is a tool that will educate the customer and say, hey, this is my home. Where am I losing heat? Where am I losing power or air conditioning? And help them save money and make those changes. And if they're doing renovations, it's a perfect time to find out where their best dollar invested would be.
The program is also offering rebates of up to $6,000 for solar panels and $350 for furnaces and air conditioning units. South Country Co-op is encouraging shoppers to bring in their own reusable bags when shopping in their stores. The move is part of an effort to keep as much plastic out of the landfill as possible, and by being earth-friendly, local community groups and organizations will benefit. Marketing Manager Carmen Hudson says they'll donate 3 cents for each reusable bag used per transaction. Here in Medicine Hat, our Ronald McDonald House will benefit. By shopping at the co-op in Taber, their District Health Foundation will receive the donations, and the Vauxhall Public Library will also benefit from those shopping at their local co-op. Hudson says the program originally started in October of 2019, but was put on hold due to the pandemic.
However, we've decided to move back towards the reusable bag program to help keep plastic bags out of the landfill. And to encourage people to do that, we are donating 3 cents from every reusable bag used in our store to a local charity.
Beginning January 11th, plastic bags will be 5 cents each at all South Country Co-op stores. Shoppers will also have to pack their own groceries in their reusable bags at this time. Firefighting is one of the most respected and admired jobs around. But those who do it often don't get the attention many in the public think they deserve. The Medicine Hat Firefighters Association aims to change that, giving weekly online shout-outs to its members. Firefighter Friday was launched on the association's Facebook page on New Year's Day. Association President Gerald Bodnarek says they want to introduce the new hires from the past year, highlight some long-term members, and then showcase everyone in between.
Lots of times where we're out in the public, especially now wearing masks because of regulations, but when we're in our gear, people can't see the person behind the mask and the equipment. So this is a way that we can put, like I said, a name to the face and show that we're part of the community.
Bodnarek says there are 77 members in the association, and they will continue the program until each one has been featured. Still to come here on Chat News at 5, more on the results of what happened yesterday in Washington and more about kids going back to school across the country. That and this story, plus the AccuWeather forecast when we return. Straight ahead, just because you get the COVID-19 vaccine doesn't mean those around you are safe. Kids in Southern Ontario will have to wait another 2 weeks at least before returning to in-person learning. That province's Chief Medical Officer of Health says high levels of community transmission mean schools need to stay closed for now. In Alberta, the Premier announced this afternoon schools will reopen from K-12 on Monday as planned. Dr. Jim Kellner says it's still not clear that infection levels in Alberta are actually on the decline and at current levels of community spread. He says there is growing evidence that open schools can lead to more transmission among asymptomatic kids. We'll have more on kids going back to school coming up in about 15 minutes here on Chat News at 5. The research is ongoing, but early indications are getting the COVID-19 vaccine will protect you, but not necessarily those around you. You could be immune, yet infectious. Sulin Go explains.
Dr. Samina Ali took this picture right after she got the call to come get the shot.
There's so much overwhelming relief that it felt like we were, as a community, as a world, this was a sign that we were on the way to healing.
The emergency physician received the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine on Saturday. After her second dose, she will be immune to the disease, but could she still spread the virus? The answer is probably.
People may be able to still get infected even though they're vaccinated, but it's a subclinical infection. So they don't feel sick, they don't have any symptoms, but they may still be able to transmit.
The vaccine teaches our immune system to fight the virus, but it doesn't block it from entering our body. Dr. Hana El-Sali of Baylor College of Medicine says the virus can still live in our nasal passage for weeks. However, in her team's studies of the Moderna vaccine,
we did find in the short term that those who got the vaccine were less likely to carry it, but the numbers were really small.
29 days after their first dose of Moderna, 14 people were carrying the virus versus 38 who got the placebo. Ongoing research will determine if any COVID vaccine can actually prevent transmission.
It will entail collecting a lot of nose swabs on a lot of people.
Of course, asymptomatic people are less likely to spread the virus than someone who's coughing and sneezing. So until most of our population receives a vaccine, masks, distancing, and hand washing will still be critical for protecting others.
As we build up that immunity in the public, there is a lower and lower chance and lower ability for the virus to be able to leap from one person to another.
Dr. Ali is happy to do her part. She says the shot felt like the beginning of the end of a dark year.
There was so much positive energy in that vaccine clinic. It was a joyful place. You could feel it.
Chat Weather, brought to you by Design Flooring Center, with you every step of the way.
Chat Weather, powered by AccuWeather.
What a fantastic afternoon here in Medicine Hat. We were outside filming at the college this afternoon. There was no wind. It was just a beautiful, warm January day. And that still doesn't make much sense for me to keep saying this to you. Now, if you're wondering how long these beautiful temperatures are set to last, well, about until the 18th. So the province is locking down again for another couple of weeks, but the warmth is going to stay around until at least the 18th, okay? Then we start to look at daytime highs closer to -3, -5, which is still above this number. Oh yeah, this weekend we're heading into, fantastic. We got up to 5 today. It's 4 out there right now under a mainly clear sky. Winds gusting from the southwest at 11 kilometers an hour on Friday, Saturday, probably Sunday, maybe even Monday as well. Expect the winds to not be much stronger than 15, at the most 20 kilometers an hour, most of them either from the west or the southwest. Some nice days are coming, and across the province, Drumheller at -3 right now. Everybody else is in the pluses. It's 1 in Brooks and Edmonton. Calgary is 2, Bow Island 3, Lethbridge 5. Over in Saskatchewan, a little bit of cloud in Saskatoon, -5, a little bit of cloud in Swift Current, -1, lots of cloud and -3 in Regina, +3 in Maple Creek, and it's -6 in Leader. Some cloud, yeah, some. We had some today too, but it went away for the most part, and we ended up expecting a mix of sun and cloud today, but getting a mainly sunny day. And that will continue as well. Maybe some cloudy periods stick around for the 7-day forecast. But as you can see, the high pressure system is pretty much going to set itself into the prairies, and that will benefit us. And then as this one moves up, that will benefit as well. This low pressure system that's popping up from the Pacific Northwest, it's trying to come between those two H's, but you don't come between two H's. No way. Drives itself up a little bit and then sinks back down into the States where it'll stay. There you go. Comes up. Goodbye. Lovely clear days coming our way. Sunshine in Brooks, some clouds in the morning, -8, and then sunshine -2 and a clear Friday night heading into the weekend. Leader cloudy, some cloud during the day, but look for the sunshine to win in the afternoon, and mainly clear heading into the evening. Lots of sunshine in Maple Creek, 2 degrees. We go from 3 to 2 to 1. I love it. And in Medicine Hat, 2 degrees tomorrow, above seasonal average, mostly clear in the morning, clear at night. So we're going to have plenty of these wonderful sky scenes that Kathleen sent us in. How about this sunset? This was the sunset yesterday, and it's going to be fantastic again tonight and for the next few days. Kathleen, thank you very much for sending this picture in. Weatherpics at chatnewstoday.ca is where she sent it in. And if you're looking at this photo right now, if you're looking at the TV saying, Dan, that looks familiar. That looks familiar. What is this picture? What does this sunset picture remind me of? And as Chris Marfleet changes the photo, it reminds you of Gone with the Wind. I will never be hungry again. And as I continue to try to lose weight, I'll be hungry a lot. Let me just tell you that. And that is our weather forecast. Thanks, Kathleen, again for the picture. Weather pics at chatnewstoday.ca is where you can send your photos. We'd love to see your pictures. We're back with more news. And Scott Roblin has sports still to come here on Chat News at 5. Still to come, the COVID-19 situation for students across the country is far different now than it was in the fall at the start of school. Good evening, I'm Dan Reynish. This is Chat News at 5 for Thursday, January 7th. In Southern Ontario, kids found out today they'll have to wait until January 25th before returning to in-person learning. Schools will stay closed there for now. Here in Alberta, Jason Kenney said this afternoon K-12 classes will resume as planned for in-person learning on Monday. Kenney said this is due to importance of in-person learning and drop-in cases among school-aged children over the last month. But as Heather Yorks West explains, the COVID-19 situation across the country is far different now than it was in the fall at the start of school.
Like so many parents, Alicia Higa is just trying to take things day by day.
Between broken links that don't work and them getting frustrated, me getting frustrated, I'm at a point where it's just, you do what you can and just move on.
2 of her 3 kids are learning virtually right now, sitting at a computer for hours. Higa just hopes they can go back to school in person soon.
We had very few cases relatively with I think over 700,000 students. We had relatively few cases of transmission within schools.
During a surprise Facebook Live Wednesday, Alberta's premier hinted that schools could reopen as planned on Monday.
I do think that there's plenty of reason to be concerned, and I'm certainly concerned about the idea of having children return to the classroom as early as next week.
Dr. Jim Kilner says it's still not clear that infection levels in Alberta are actually on the decline. And at current levels of community spread, he says there is growing evidence that open schools can lead to more transmission among asymptomatic kids.
The thing that's evolved as well is an understanding that schools can be contributing to the rise of disease in the community. I don't think anybody can comfortably say that schools don't contribute to transmission of infection.
It's why in Southern Ontario, where daily case numbers are still on the rise, schools will remain closed to in-person learning for at least another 2 weeks.
I know this is a tough one. It's tough for everybody. And we know those parents have worked hard at this, and having the virtual learning is not easy.
I'll cry if it's extended.
Back in Alberta, Higa says she's not worried about COVID-19. Her kids have never had a case in their classes. But the reality is it's January, and the pandemic is now in a very different place than it was in the fall. Heather Yorks West, Global News, Calgary.
There were tough questions being asked to law enforcement in Washington, D.C. today about their handling of pro-Trump violence at the Capitol. The police response is also being criticized by civil rights leaders as a double standard. Jeff Pegues reports from Washington.
Police were no match for the swarm of protesters that stormed the steps of the Capitol, breached the doors, and marched through the halls of Congress.
It appeared to me that the response outside was slow.
Terry Gaynor is a former chief of the U.S. Capitol Police, who estimated that half to 3/4 of some of the 2,300 Capitol Hill police officers were prepared. He says the force may have underestimated the potential of this protest.
The cavalry should have been coming to get those people the hell off the steps and the platforms, but that would have been very, very ugly and difficult to do if you didn't have superior force.
Social media video from Wednesday's event appears to show Trump supporters entering a security perimeter with little resistance from officers. In another post, people appear to be posing for selfies with those in uniform. After the breach, 1,100 D.C. National Guard troops were deployed, and hundreds of federal law enforcement officers were sent in to assist. Compare that to June, when around 5,000 guardsmen and 1,600 active duty troops were brought to the D.C. area in advance of protests following the death of George Floyd.
If this were a group of young people who
was organizing under the banner Black Lives Matter, we would have seen triple the number of law enforcement.
Derek Johnson is the president of the NAACP.
It was irresponsible to put lawmakers in danger the way law enforcement agencies did today. But it's equitable when you compare what we've seen all summer, peaceful protests, and a response that was not consistent.
Gaynor says those who did break into the Capitol could now face felony charges.
There's some pretty clear pictures of people in hallways and hanging from the walls in the Senate chambers. Beware. I hope we're coming for you.
Police say 52 people were arrested in all, 26 people arrested here on Capitol grounds, and that is a number that will go up because there will be more arrests in the coming days. In the past, President Trump has characterized on Twitter Black Lives Matter protesters as thugs. Wednesday, he called the mobs who breached the Capitol building great patriots who've been badly and unfairly treated for so long. Jeff Begay, CBS News, Washington.
Leaders around the world have condemned the violence in Washington, with many taking aim at Donald Trump for inciting the unrest. But one close ally of Trump has stuck by the president, even echoing claims of election fraud. Redmond Shannon reports.
Insofar as he encouraged people to storm the Capitol.
Having condemned the Washington violence on Wednesday night, US-born British Prime Minister Boris Johnson also took aim at President Donald Trump on Thursday.
And I unreservedly condemn encouraging people to behave in the disgraceful way that they did in the Capitol.
What happened today in Washington, D.C. is not America.
In France, President Emmanuel Macron spoke only of solidarity with Americans and didn't refer to Trump directly.
We believe in the strength of American democracy.
Macron and Trump's relationship had soured in the past 2 years.
Die Bestätigung des Wahlsiegs von Joe Biden und Kamala Harris.
A similar tone from German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who spoke instead about the next administration. Who could forget this famous encounter between her and Trump at the G7 in Canada? America's foes were more damning. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani saying it shows that Western democracy is weak and that America's reputation is tarnished. A Chinese government spokesperson wished for peace and stability in the US. She compared the scenes in Washington to those in Hong Kong in 2019, noting none of those protesters were killed. A Russian government statement threw stones from its glass house, criticizing the US election system and saying the American media has become a tool in a political fight. A voice of support for Trump on Thursday from his ally, Brazil's Jair Bolsonaro, backing the baseless claims of electoral fraud in the US and adding that he thinks next year's elections in Brazil could see fraud too. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
A growing number of Republicans believe the president should be removed from office. Some of Trump's staunch supporters are now condemning his rhetoric for stoking violence. Republicans have become deeply divided over Trump, and as Eric Sorensen explains, yesterday's events have further fractured the party.
Few stood to lose more from Donald Trump's shrinking political world than Georgia Senator Kelly Loeffler.
On January 6th, I will object to the Electoral College vote.
January 6th, the senator learned she'd lost her seat. The same day, a mob egged on by Trump ransacked the Capitol. And finally, Loeffler gave up helping Trump overturn the election.
And I cannot now in good conscience object to the certification of these electors.
Republicans see a reckoning coming.
We've had a hell of a journey. I hate it being this way. Oh my God, I hate it.
Among those abandoning Trump's unwinnable bid to stay in office, his golf buddy, Senator Lindsey Graham.
When it's over, it is over. It is over.
Even Trump's loyal vice president presided over the final vote, sealing Biden's victory and Trump's fate.
The chair declares the joint session dissolved.
Now, will Trumpism outlast Trump himself?
I'm inclined to think that the Trump movement will be relatively short-lived. The key is the personality. Once that is removed, it is very likely to fragment.
Some Republicans are ready to move on from what happened yesterday.
Because our kids need to know that this isn't what America is.
But others say this is what America is, just the tip of Trump's millions of voters. And demonizing Democrats is a model ambitious Republicans are ready to carry on.
They intend to change this country, not for a year, not for 10 years, but for generations.
Senators like Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley hope to inherit Trump's voters.
Millions of Americans concerned about our election integrity.
But over Hawley's shoulder, another Republican tested a different message.
The best way we can show respect for the voters who are upset is by telling them the truth.
The big truth? Trump lost the election. He has split his own party fighting that truth, but it's created an opening for Republicans to choose between Trumpism and something new. Eric Sorensen, Global News.
The Premier decided to keep the province closed for another 2 weeks today. We'll recap today's top stories before the end of tonight's show, but coming up next, Scott Roblin's in with tonight's sports.
The Southern Express U15 girls are getting creative, finding ways to stay active with minor hockey shut down. Find out what they're up to next.
Welcome back. Much of the talk last season for the Medicine Hat Tigers was around rookie Cole Sillinger. Of course, he had a fantastic season and is poised to take another step if the WHL returns. But don't sleep on fellow second-year Drew Krebs.
Puck comes right back to the blue line. Chance for Krebs and shoots. He scores!
Krebs not only cracked a veteran Tigers blue line as a 16-year-old last year, he became a staple in the lineup, playing in 55 games and netting 13 points over that span. Even more impressive, he did that playing mostly third-pairing minutes. With 2021 being his draft year, Krebs says he is ready to take on a more prominent role on the Tabbies' back end.
I believe I can play against those top lines, and my skating, my speed, everything has improved over the summer as I've had 10 months to improve those. So, yeah, I believe I'm ready to push for those top 4 minutes and really become a prominent player on the team.
Krebs did play one game with the Okotoks Oilers as an emergency addition before the shutdown, but says he's fully committed to continuing his development at the WHL level. A big night ahead for the Calgary Flames, dropping the puck on the first of 2 intra-squad games. Now, training camps usually present huge opportunities for young players looking to crack the NHL, and as Cami Kepke tells us, this unusual season means big changes for that group.
The Calgary Flames expect to lean on their veterans when they open the regular season next week. But the young players on the cusp of joining the National Hockey League are still fighting tooth and nail for a job.
It just kind of makes you more hungry. You know, you get a taste for what it's like up in the National League, and you kind of want to stay there. So, I mean, it's kind of more fuel to the fire.
In a compressed 56-game season, the reality is that injuries are going to happen, and Calgary Flames GM Brad Treliving anticipates needing a lot of bodies.
You're going to have to be, judicious in terms of watching your call-ups because of the quarantine, but ultimately what part of this, with all the challenges of a short year, you still want to develop your young players.
Those players who find themselves on the fringe could end up in a strange sort of in-between. A taxi squad made up of 5 players and a goalie will be allowed to travel and practice with the Flames this season. The idea is that these players won't need to travel or quarantine in case a Calgary Flame goes down with injury or illness. But it's a double-edged sword, as sitting on the taxi squad could cut down on valuable development time with the Flames farm team in California.
I would expect a lot of those players, rather than sitting on a taxi squad where you're not playing potentially for a period of time, they could be in Stockton, they could be moved back and forth. It's going to be a very fluid situation.
For the most part, it's just kind of showing up and letting that stuff play out for itself. I think obviously it's not in my control. The only thing I can control is what I do on the ice. So trying to do anything to, hopefully make the team.
While we don't know who will make up Calgary's taxi squad just yet, fans should get a better idea from the Flames' 2 inter-squad games being played this Thursday and next Tuesday. Cami Kepke, Global Sports.
Canada's defeat in the gold medal final at the World Juniors this week was a disappointing one for many in our country, but that doesn't take away from a tournament that was a success for Hockey Canada and the IIHF. Using the bubble in Edmonton, it again proved that even in a pandemic, it could keep players and the general public safe. There were a number of early positive tests on Germany and Sweden, but measures put in place did what they were supposed to do with no further positive tests. On top of that, Germany overcame their depleted early roster and was able to reach the quarterfinals for the first time in their history.
Can talk about it easily now, but when that's happened, that was a lot of discussion between us. But I think the good decision were made by the German and also on our side not to change the schedule. And for that we had a happy end.
The federal, provincial, and local governments were very much a player in all of this, identifying protocols that we had to pay attention to and comply with 100%. And I think because of that, we were very much in line with each other in this ability to collaborate and deliver a wonderful event.
According to TSN, 13.5 million viewers tuned in for Tuesday's gold medal match, making it the most watched World Juniors game since 2015. New York and Cleveland pulling off a blockbuster deal in Major League Baseball today, sending Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco to the Big Apple. Lindor and Carrasco were packaged to the New York Mets in exchange for shortstops Ahmed Rosario and Andres Gimenez, as well as prospects Josh Wolf and Isaiah Green. Lindor, a four-time All-Star, hit .335 last year with 8 homers and 27 RBIs. Carrasco, meanwhile, played 11 years in Cleveland, making 195 starts and is tied for 10th in the majors in wins since 2015. He has 3 years and $38 million remaining on his deal, while Lindor is set to become a free agent in 2022. While local teams remain off the ice due to provincial health regulations, the Southern Express U15 AA girls are finding unique ways to stay on their game. That's 13-year-old Jada Becker showing off some sweet stick handling moves in her garage here in Medicine Hat. The Express have been taking part in the hashtag Stay Active Challenge, with the girls going running, snowmobiling, snowboarding, and yes, even skating as well to stay in shape for whenever hockey does return locally.
Yes, whenever.
Just waiting.
Way to put it. All right, listen, one clarification, Scott Rodland. The New York Mets play in Queens.
Yes.
And as Martin Scorsese himself said in the classic movie Quiz Show, Queens is not New York. So they're not going to the Big Apple. They're going outside
of the Big Apple. All right, fine, fair enough.
But still, good for the Mets. I mean,
Yeah.
Ben Stiller is a huge Mets fan, and he's been tweeting about this trade, and everybody's pretty excited about it. And when you told me about it, I was like, oh, Cleveland, you can't be that excited about the football team that you're giving up on the baseball team.
Yeah, we'll have to see who, especially the two prospects, turn into. I mean, they aren't the top level prospects that are really in the Mets system.
Yeah.
Right now, probably give this trade to the Mets just with the star power with Lindor and Carrasco. Now, the biggest thing with this trade, though, is if they can sign Lindor to a big extension, because he is a free agent after this next season.
Well, and if he's a free agent after this season, and you look at the numbers, carry the two that some other baseball free agents are getting, he could potentially get an 8 to 10 year deal worth between $450 and $500 million.
Yeah, for a guy who's a 4-time All-Star and has won 1 million Gold Gloves in the league, I think he's going to command a pretty hefty raise for his next contract. So it's going to be a big deal for whoever signs him.
Well, the Mets have a new owner. He wants to make a difference. He's pledged to bring a championship to New York. So he's got big bucks, no whammies. I would say a $500 million contract is something he can definitely do.
And they are poised with Lindor and Carrasco, who's also been a very solid player for Cleveland for a number of years.
And for the record, Scott and I would love a $500 million contract as well. More news, a recap of today's top stories when we come back. When we return, meet the little Italian greyhound from Montreal that has become a massive worldwide social media star. You're watching Chat News at 5. Recapping today's top stories, Premier Jason Kenney announced this afternoon that Alberta's current health measures will remain in place until at least January 21st. This does not include schools. In-class learning will resume on Monday as planned. But Kenny says the other public health restrictions need to remain in place as the province must consider the very real possibility of an increase in COVID-19 cases due to the holiday season. The extension of the restrictions follows controversy surrounding out-of-country travel by 9 UCP MLAs and staffers. Kenny said he knows the decision will be frustrating because of the anger over the decisions made by his members of parliament and government. He says it was insulting for government leaders to holiday outside the country and trust must be repaired. As for why he didn't take immediate action, Kenny says he wasn't aware of everyone who had traveled until Sunday. Kenny is now asking Albertans to continue to follow health orders despite those in power spurning official advisories. For more on these and other stories, visit our website at chatnewstoday.ca. Well, as we talked about in weather earlier in the show, we're heading into a great weekend. Back for the first time this year to let us know what's up in the hat this weekend, my buddy Mike LaCour.
Dan, thanks very much. Nice to see you. Here are a couple of things going on around Medicine Hat for the weekend. Enter the A-Park Riding Contest, and 2 people could win a custom raffle basket that includes a gift certificate for a pet portrait. The riding must revolve around your pet, and deadline for entry is on Monday. Judging for the contest will begin on the 12th with a winner announced on February 1st. There is a $15 entry fee. Head over to A-Park's Facebook page for details on the requirements of your submission and where to email it. On Monday, the Canadian Mental Health Association will be hosting one of a series of 8 session courses called The Art of Friendship. These courses will focus on health and well-being through reducing isolation and building social skills. It's from 6:15 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. You can register by calling 403-504-1811 extension 112. And if you have an event you would like us to feature on What's Up, please email us at chatnews@jpbg.ca. Dan, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Have a great weekend, buddy. A little Italian greyhound from Montreal has become a massive worldwide social media star. Tika has been taking the internet by storm with her fancy outfits and sassy attitude. Here's Dan Spector with her story.
Come on. It's a little hard to believe this Montreal alleyway is not crawling with paparazzi. A huge international fashion star is strutting her stuff.
Tika, she's pretty big now.
29-year-old Thomas Shapiro has been posting pictures and videos of his 9-year-old Italian greyhound Tika online for years now. But in recent months, she's gone totally viral.
So there's one viral video on TikTok where she was wearing a bunch of clothes that she couldn't wear throughout the years of lockdown.
I had so many cute outfits planned for this year that I couldn't wear. So I just wanted to show you. See this? I love it. I couldn't wear it. Love it. Couldn't wear it. Then there's this.
I think it just a lot of people related to like, oh yeah, I also didn't get to wear anything because I was at home the whole time.
Brooke Shields can't get enough. Sharon Stone agreed this outfit was a little risky. Lizzo gave Tika a shout out just this week, and that's just scratching the surface.
Where I think it started to really go viral was Demi Lovato. And then Justin Bieber shared it.
This recent video of Tika debating outfits was also a huge hit.
Is it too much? What about this? Is this too much? This kind of feels like a lot.
Shapiro says Tika likes wearing the clothes, as Italian greyhounds often get cold. She now has her own agent, merchandise with her face on it, Italian greyhound fashion designers begging her to wear their apparel. But she's still just a humble pup.
One of the bigger celebrities that shared her was Jennifer Aniston. And I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty big. So when she shared that, I kind of threw my phone across the bed because I was like, what's happening? And of course, I look over at Tika, who's passed out, and I was like, she doesn't even know.
Even though she's got plenty of fame, Shapiro says he won't quit his day job as a web developer. Besides, she's not raking in too much cash yet.
She pays her rent.
Tika is also a self-professed gay icon, a role Shapiro and his husband take very seriously.
We just, first and foremost, want to be visible for the younger gay generation to kind of see maybe role models of 2 guys that are living a nice life.
He says Tika does get stopped on the street, but with a look like this, she got stopped even before she was famous. Dan Spector, Global News, Montreal.
Tika rocks it. I hope they keep it up. The weather person, the weatherman, the weather gods. Oh, the Lord himself is keeping up our great temperatures here in Medicine Hat. What a forecast. What a few days we have coming up. Sunshine. That's all you need to know for tomorrow. Sunshine and 4 degrees on the 8th of January. Some cloud on Saturday and Sunday, but then as we extend this into next week, That's a 9. A little bit of cloud, maybe breezy on Wednesday, but we're looking at gorgeous temperatures until about the 18th of January. And yes, sunshine tomorrow. Beautiful weekend coming our way. That is good stuff. Happy to share that information with you, and thank you for choosing Chat on this Thursday night for your news. We're back with all the latest at noon and at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Have a great night. I'm Dan Reynish.